My name's Alice, and I've been following the Buddhist path for nearly 50 years. Part of my practice is offering guided meditations at Tara Institute on a weekly basis, but mainly I want to get enlightened. Why do some people suffer so much? Why do they have such difficulties and other people live a perfectly wonderful life? Why is there so much difficulty in the world? I found that kind of difficult to reconcile. I remember my mother, I was brought up in the Church of England, though my mother was Catholic. And she'd told me about purgatory, that children who hadn't been introduced to Jesus ended up in purgatory. And, you know, as a child, I just thought that is so unfair. How could that possibly happen? We made our way to Nepal, to Kathmandu, and eventually up to the monastery, Kopa Monastery, which is like the mothership of this centre. And we were interviewed and decided to stay for a month-long meditation course. And it was wonderful. All the questions I'd ever had about what happens before you're born and what happens when you die, they were answered in a way that kind of made as good sense as I'd heard. These were people whose land had been taken from them, many of their families killed, eventually losing their country altogether. And yet they were the funniest people I'd ever met, and kind and aware of how people were feeling. Clearly whatever they were doing was working very well. And I thought this deserves more study, more concentration. I wanted to be like that. Meditation in any of the Buddhist traditions is about getting to know your own mind. Sangye chodang soki chongnam la changchu padu dagni kyapsu chi dagi jinso gipe sonam ki. What sort of mind leads to happiness and which sort of mind leads to suffering? Focusing inwardly, and the aim is to let go of any thoughts about the past, any thoughts or anticipating the future, your to-do list, all of that, just gently putting it aside and focusing. It starts off checking the body, checking to make sure that you're comfortable. Just focusing on the coming and going of the breath. If you want to learn piano, you don't play the Moonlight Sonata on the first day. People have unrealistic expectations of how meditation is going to help. And the way it can help is by practicing gently, without judgment, day after day, even if you don't feel like it, turning up. The practices that I've learnt from my teachers have given me a way to find greater kindness, more patience, more compassion, the wish to help. That's been one of the most important things. He said, so important that Westerners become enlightened, and then Buddhism will start to look Australian. That's why it's so important to support the places where people are studying. Because once that lineage is broken, I don't know what happens. There are ways to work with the mind so you can really become much happier. That's it.